Hey, this is John, and this is tip number 3 in my tips of how to outsource to the Philippines. The rest of these can be found on my blog at jonasblog.com. You can see, hopefully behind me, you see a couple kite surfers out here. This is the famous Bulabog Beach, where people come to windsurf. It's amazingly shallow and calm, and there's always wind. It's amazing. So the tip today is the emails that I send to people when I first hire someone, and what the communication should be when you are hiring someone. So I have some notes here on my trusty BlackBerry, things that I want to make sure I get into this. First of all, the first thing I tell people is you're hired. I give them a job. And that's super important. You're hired. Here's when I expect you to start, and I will have worked that out with them ahead of time. I expect you to work 40 hours a week, or how much you expect them to work. I will talk about how I expect a daily email from them, and I'll explain that daily email, which I believe I've talked about in another video. I will tell them the time off and how I deal with time off. Just so you know how I do time off, I tell them you don't have any set time off. I'll pay you every month. You can take off whatever time you need. I just need you to tell me ahead of time what time you're taking off. So I don't schedule like you have 1 week of paid time off. I'll just say you take whatever you need, and as long as I know that as long as I can make them profitable for me, I'm okay with it. I will talk about how I'm going to give them a hard task and how I will help them with it, and I'll explain that in this first set of emails that I'm sending to them, which I believe I've talked about that also. I will also tell them that I'm going to pay them monthly. Now, you may need to pay bi-weekly for the first month or so, just so that they know that you're going to pay them, but otherwise I'm going to pay them monthly on a certain day. I will talk about the 13th month and how I'll pay that, and I'll talk about the 13th month in another video. I will also talk about how I expect this to be a long-term relationship, and this is so important to set this up right away. I expect you to work for me for a very long time, for years and years and years. And so right now, as we're just starting out this relationship, I want you to keep that in mind as I go through this. So the first couple emails that I send with them back and forth are kind of setting up the terms. Just so you know, I don't use any employment contracts. I've never had a problem with it. You may want to use an employment contract. And I believe that inside of replacemyself.com, we actually provide employment contracts that you can use that have been tailored to working with overseas workers. Also, in the first couple of emails that I send, I will give them access to my hosting account. It's the first thing I give, just to make sure that they have the tools that they need to start working. So that's my next tip. I have more tips available inside of replacemyself.com. Thank you.